Maybe you're in executive management being asked if the organization should go agile. Or maybe you're an operational manager being asked to advise at the start of a project. Are you a manager without any specific project management experience? Do you need to manage a project manager or team for the first time? I will share with you 3 of the project management methodologies that you should be aware of to get you started. We'll break down the 3 primary methodologies in use today. We will look at the waterfall method. Is it really dead or old-fashioned, as some believe? When do you want to use it and why? We will examine the Agile method. Is it the savior of the adapters of the Agile Manifesto hoped? When do you want to use it or not use it and why? Adaptive project management. What is it and when you should insist on it? At the end of this video, I will share some bonus links and resources and answer the question, what is the difference between a project manager and other types of managers? So stick around and let's get started. First, a note about terminology and language. In any field, terminology can vary not just between national languages, but between industries, professions, crafts, and cultures. Put 5 people in a room and the same word can have 5 different meanings. An IT manager and a business analyst can be saying the same exact thing, yet they may still argue about it, not understanding the other correctly. You want a good project manager that can navigate and translate as your team engages in a project. We will explore this in more detail in a future video. For this video, I will use the term organization very generically. This can refer to your company, office, business, nonprofit, or even a youth club. Regardless of your industry or sector, the information that we cover in this video will have value for you. As defined in the Project Management Institute's Project Management Body of Knowledge, project management refers to the managing of a temporary effort to produce a unique product, service, or result. This is not an ongoing process or operation. The term agile is very overused these days in the business world. In this video, we are referring to the Agile methodology for project management life cycles or system development life cycles. We are not referring to the agility of individuals or the organization and its ability as a whole to adapt to changes outside of the project. Methodologies are wonderful things. They can provide guidance and keep your workflow on track. Which methodology is best, though? Sorry, there is no answer to that. Selecting a methodology is as personal to an organization as how people like their coffee in the morning. Each has strengths and weaknesses impacted by industry, sector, and hiring practices, and even the personality and culture of your organization. What works for one group may not work for another, even similar group. Most methodologies have one thing in common. They provide a way to break large workloads down into manageable tasks. They take the complex and difficult and provide a map for execution. Project management is nothing new. The pyramids were built using it, and in fact, modern project management grew up in the construction industry. It has a long and solid history. And management culture has grown comfortable with it. When you break a project down into a series of sequential steps, you provide an easy to follow path that most people can follow. This is known as a waterfall method. You start at the top of the falls and you can't reach one step without passing through the previous steps. Now there are variations on this model. You can always back up and revisit a step. If you have steps that can run in parallel, the waterfall is plenty wide enough to accommodate that. However, remember that you must start a step before starting the next step. Skipping steps or working on a later step too early can lead to rework, lost time, and higher costs. Issues or problems in a project also cost more to resolve the farther along you are in your project. Other methodologies have arisen that promise faster and better projects. And in some cases, that is true. But you will find that most of them are just a different application of the same principles. Waterfall is a great option for straightforward projects. An experienced team with a high degree of confidence and knowledge in the subject matter and process can knock out a great result in using this method. Where complexity and unknowns are a high risk, then other methods may be more suited to your project. To answer the question that I posed at the beginning of this video, no, Waterfall is not dead or old-fashioned. Organizations that use it rigidly have, however, become bogged down in paperwork and process, sometimes costing them employees, customers, and even benefiting competitors willing to adapt. And that brings us to our next method. What do software programmers, Snow, and Utah have in common? Seems like a strange question, right? Well, in 2001, at a lodge in Utah, a group of software developers were having a chat. Out of that fateful encounter in February came a declaration to the world called the Agile Manifesto. Its main point: enough is enough. Traditional methods for software development were being burdened by overhead and requirements for documentation that never gets used. Managers were making decisions without input from the customers or the developers. Something new was needed. 20 years later, Agile is a powerful tool for organizations. But is it the right tool for your projects? The Agile Manifesto is based on some basic, simple tenets. 1. Individuals and interactions take precedence over processes and tools. 2. Working software has more value than comprehensive documentation. 3. Customer collaboration makes more sense than contract negotiation. And 4. Change is good. Adapt to it rather than following a rigid plan. There's a lot more to it, and trainers have sculpted them over the years, but we'll focus on these. While simple, these tenets were not easily accepted by everyone. Confusion by both developers and management over what this meant would spawn some of the most engaging conferences and business meetings. Some managers who had to meet compliance continuity requirements were suddenly being told by project managers and developers that they were out of luck. We were going agile. We don't do that anymore. At least that's how they heard it. Developers would build great applications, but when asked to make enhancements, not enough documentation or historical knowledge existed to enable those enhancements. Remember, projects are temporary efforts. There's no guarantee that the same people will be available to work on that enhancement. Applications suddenly had to be replaced or faced delays as developers reviewed the source code to learn how the application worked. Neither of these scenarios were meant to happen, but every new idea has a few growing pains. Out of this confusion, we can identify a few myths that evolved. Myth 1, Agile equals no documentation. Nah. The truth is that Agile simply values people and productivity over documentation and process. If your company is required to produce certain reports for continuity of operations, Agile does not alleviate the team of that responsibility. You may, however, see them produced later in the project than in other models. Myth 2, Agile is faster. This is only partially true. During the sprints, you will see production-ready results on a somewhat regular schedule, usually every 2 to 4 weeks. However, this does not guarantee that you will get the expected final product faster. It is like taking advances on a salary. You get the good feeling of getting value sooner. That being said, getting that value sooner means your users or customers can also react sooner, providing valuable feedback to the team and ensuring that the final product has greater value and fewer defects. Next up, Agile does not guarantee that you will get what you ask for. This is sort of true, so let's call it myth-like. In an Agile project, you deliver your product in evolving releases. With each release, you reevaluate your needs and make decisions on what should be included next. Based on feedback, you prioritize next steps. It may be that features are added, removed, or impacted by certain risks and issues. An Agile product will usually run until the money runs out or all the priority needs are met. This means that you are not guaranteed to always get what you asked for originally, but your result may be closer to what you actually need. So, when do you want to use Agile? Agile's native strength is in software development projects, not surprising given how it was born. However, it may work well in any project where you can deliver your product or service incrementally. Sprints, the delivery cycles for Agile, usually run 2 to 4 weeks in length. If you can meet that schedule and deliver to production incrementally, then Agile may be right for you. A warning though, you want a team that is familiar with Agile, and you want an organizational management structure that will accept the Agile practice. If you just declare that everyone will do Agile, or any methodology for that matter, The friction and confusion that will result will destroy your project and your bottom line. What happens when an organization tries to implement Agile without complete buy-in and training, or where adoption is slow? Then existing methodologies collide with it, and you get a hybrid. Hybrid methods use one methodology as a basis and then apply key techniques or processes from the others. For example, there may be few or, if any, true Agile projects that I've seen. Many employ scrums, sprints, or other techniques to improve existing practices, but may not fully implement the Agile methodology. This may be due to resistance within the organization or a lack of top-down guidance. That being said, hybrid methodologies work in many cases, especially as organizations move from one methodology to another. A hybrid approach can introduce new concepts while offering some comfort with known process elements. Where does that leave us? As different methodologies vie for your project, enter the adaptive project manager. This person delivers up an a la carte menu of options that can meet the needs of any project. Breaking the gridlock and thinking outside the box, the adaptive project manager will customize the management of your project, selecting from all methodologies for the best result. Sounds great, doesn't it? Finally, an option that we can all get behind. Maybe. In highly creative organizations or where team members are highly collaborative, this option may work great. If you are a new business and looking into project management for the first time, this is a good place to start since your processes are new to everyone. This is another option where you need an organization culture that accepts adopting new ideas. The team, management, and the project manager must have a high confidence in each other. Note that you may likely pay more for an adaptive project manager as they are wired to navigate the needs of a project and your organization. That is not to say that Waterfall and Agile are off the list. Adaptive project managers draw from these methods and more. And a fully adaptive team may be overkill for some projects. Applied without some restraint, adaptive teams across an organization can lead to diverging techniques, fractured processes, and confusion within the organization. Still, this is a direction in the profession to get excited about. Over the course of your project, the methodologies may change. It is common for multiple methodologies to be employed on large projects or projects which have dependencies on external stakeholders. This hybrid approach is common and can be very successful if there is coordination among the team members. As an example, an IT project to develop an application may use the waterfall method at the beginning to get total anticipated effort and funding allocations. Budget and legislative offices really like the waterfall processes. However, the execution phase of the project may shift to an agile approach and take advantage of the faster sprints to deliver working production code and other value sooner. At the end, the project may shift back to waterfall for the closing phase to satisfy process requirements. In summary, we've talked about waterfall, a sequential or cascading approach with steps defined early in the project. The agile approach promises earlier delivery of value and early feedback for improvements. An adaptive provides the most diverse tool set to meet the needs and thrives in high confidence environments. And the hybrid approach, which keeps a main philosophy while sprinkling in the benefits of other methods. If you want me to go into any of these in more detail, please let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe and click on the notification icon to receive alerts when I post new content. And if you found this material useful, please consider clicking on the like button. Management is a popular profession. MBAs are degrees that are well respected, and we acknowledge what that skill set brings to the workplace. Project management is just a specialized manager. The same is true of an IT manager, program manager, portfolio manager, contract manager, etc. All of these specializations share common traits and skills. They just focus more on some based on their assignments. For example, an operational manager manages permanent or long-term staff and resources. A project manager manages staff and resources temporarily assigned for the duration of the project. When the project is over, the project manager's authority through the charter ends and the team adjourns to other duties. Check out the description of this video for a link to the history of the Agile Manifesto. I've also linked to 2 organizations, Project Management Institute, or PMI, and the International Institute of Business Analysts, or IIBA. If your business is just getting started with project management, or if you have questions, these are great resources. There may even be a chapter operating in your area. Note that neither organization sponsors or endorses this video. The links are provided for informational purposes only. If you would like a more in-depth video on any of these topics, please drop a comment. Again, please consider subscribing and clicking on the notification icon to receive alerts when I post new content. And if you found this material useful, consider clicking on the like button. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time and your consideration. Until we meet again, I wish you well on your journey.